Quiet, the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. By Susan Cain. You're sitting in a bustling coffee shop, watching the animated conversations around you, when you notice someone in the corner reading quietly, seemingly content in their solitude. While others gesture expansively and speak in rising volumes, this person appears deeply absorbed, occasionally glancing up with a gentle, observant expression. You find yourself wondering, in a world that seems to celebrate the loudest voice in the room, what profound gifts might we be overlooking in those who choose to speak more softly? Susan Cain's exploration of introversion reveals a striking paradox at the heart of modern society. We live in what she calls the age of the extrovert ideal, where charisma, quick thinking, and social boldness are prized above reflection, depth, and careful consideration. Yet beneath this cultural preference lies a deeper question that touches the very core of how we understand human value and potential. What happens when we mistake volume for wisdom, or confuse the capacity to fill silence with the ability to create meaning? Consider the quiet revolution that has shaped our world in ways we rarely acknowledge. Behind many of our most transformative innovations and movements, you'll find the contemplative minds of introverts. Einstein, who once said he preferred the silence that accompanies solitude, developed theories that reshaped our understanding of reality itself. Rosa Parks, whose quiet strength sparked a movement, demonstrated that the most powerful acts of courage sometimes emerge not from those who seek the spotlight, but from those who simply know when it's time to stand firm in their truth. The biological roots of introversion tell a fascinating story about the nervous system's relationship with stimulation. Introverted brains appear to process information more thoroughly, taking longer pathways through areas associated with planning and reflection. Where an extrovert might thrive on the dopamine rush of social interaction and external rewards, the introvert often finds fulfillment in the deeper satisfactions of internal processing and meaningful connection. This isn't a limitation, it's a different kind of optimization, one that favors depth over breadth, quality over quantity. When you examine the creative process, you begin to see how solitude serves not as an escape from the world, but as a laboratory for understanding it. The introvert's natural inclination toward quiet observation allows for a kind of pattern recognition that emerges only in stillness. Like a photographer waiting for the perfect light, the introverted mind often sees connections and possibilities that remain invisible in the rush of constant interaction. This patient attention to detail, this willingness to sit with complexity rather than rushing to immediate solutions, has given birth to countless innovations and insights. Yet perhaps the most profound aspect of Cain's work lies in her examination of how cultural biases shape our understanding of leadership and collaboration. The extrovert ideal has convinced us that good ideas emerge primarily from brainstorming sessions and group dynamics, when research suggests that many of our best insights actually arise in solitude and are refined through careful collaboration. The most effective teams, it turns out, aren't necessarily the loudest ones, but those that create space for both kinds of thinking, the quick, energetic exchange of ideas and the slow, methodical development of depth. In our hyperconnected age, where social media rewards the quick response and the bold statement, Cain's insights feel particularly urgent. You might notice how the constant pressure to be on, to have opinions readily available and personalities immediately engaging, can exhaust not just introverts, but anyone who values thoughtful reflection. The tyranny of the immediate response leaves little room for the kind of processing that leads to wisdom rather than mere reaction. In this context, the introvert's natural tendency toward pause and reflection offers a form of resistance against the culture of instant everything. The workplace implications of this understanding are profound. Organizations that recognize the introvert's need for quiet spaces, advance notice before meetings, and time to process before responding often discover that they've unlocked previously hidden talents. The programmer who seems quiet in meetings but produces elegant solutions in solitude. The manager who prefers written communication but offers incredibly thoughtful feedback. These aren't people who need to be fixed or made more extroverted. They're individuals whose cognitive style, when properly understood and supported, can complement and enhance the work of their more externally oriented colleagues. Yet this isn't about creating an either-or scenario, pitting introversion against extroversion in some kind of personality war. Instead, Cain's work points toward a more nuanced understanding of human diversity, one that recognizes that the best solutions often emerge from the creative tension between different ways of processing the world. The extrovert's ability to think out loud and build energy through interaction pairs beautifully with the introvert's capacity for deep analysis and careful synthesis. As you reflect on these ideas, two key insights emerge with particular clarity. First, that authentic contribution often requires the courage to work from your natural strengths rather than forcing yourself into ill-fitting cultural expectations. The introvert who learns to communicate their insights effectively while maintaining their need for reflection and solitude often makes more meaningful contributions than one who exhausts themselves trying to become more extroverted. Second, that creating inclusive environments, whether in families, schools, or workplaces, requires recognizing that different people access their best thinking through different pathways. This understanding leads to a question that resonates far beyond personality types. In a world that increasingly values speed and volume, how do we preserve and cultivate the spaces necessary for the kind of deep thinking that our most complex challenges require? Perhaps the answer lies in recognizing that introversion, at its essence, isn't about being shy or antisocial. It's about honoring the rhythm of reflection that allows inner wisdom to emerge. In a culture of constant noise, the introvert's gift isn't silence for its own sake, but the understanding that some truths can only be heard in stillness. As you settle into the quiet of this moment, you might find yourself appreciating not just the insights that emerge from solitude, but the recognition that in a world that never stops talking, the courage to listen deeply to yourself and others becomes a radical and necessary act.